Greetings. Welcome to 3 Lanes number 16. I am Denny, and we're moving today to a little bit of camera action. This episode 16 will be covering the Mamiya M645, another camera that I'm fortunate to own, that I've used quite a bit, and I really enjoy shooting medium format with this camera. Um, yeah, it's my first experience with medium format, and I really enjoy it. I think it's so easy to use. We'll cover some things here that you might think that are true, or you might disagree with. One of them being ergonomics, and we'll see how it goes. But the Mamiya M645 was introduced in 1975, and uh, it's a medium format camera. It's a 6 by 4.5 centimeters SLR camera, a single lens reflex, and because of the 6 times 4.5 centimeter dimensions that it uses on the film, that's why it's called M645, Mamiya 6 4.5, right? Makes sense. It was a new format category that balanced image quality with portability. It revolutionized professional photography workflows and basically cemented Mamiya's reputation in the photography industry. Now let's take a few steps back and let's cover a little bit of Mamiya's history. Mamiya was founded in 1940 by an inventor, Japanese inventor, Mamiya Seiichi. By the way, I'm going to butcher so many Japanese names in this episode, but bear with me. Again, it was founded by inventor Mamiya Seiichi and investor Sugawara Tsunejiro. I think I said that right. As Mamiya Optical Works, that was the name. It was actually in Japanese, right? But that's the name of the company, Mamiya Optical Works. The company built its reputation with the Mamiya 6. It was a folding camera that shot 6 by 6 negatives on 120 roll film. And after World War II, Mamiya was notably the first Japanese optical company to resume production on October 1945. And this was under the orders of General Douglas MacArthur. And that's how they started or resumed production. But by the mid 1970s, Mamiya had established itself as a big Japanese camera manufacturer. But there was an increase in amateur photography and semi-pro photography, and this led the company to focus on professional medium formats. The introduction of the M645 in 1975 was a calculated move from Mamiya, and it was to carve their own space in the niche within the professional photography market. The M645 quickly became one of the most popular cameras for professional and relatively advanced amateur photographers throughout the late 1970s and early 1980s. Wedding photographers embraced the system because it was rugged, the interchangeable components, the dual film format support, and the accessory system. Uh, a little parenthesis here: the dual film format support, that comes later. It's not with the initial iterations of the camera, but we'll cover that in a little bit too. The camera was twice honored with Japan's Good Design Award, and this indicated the significance not just for photography but also for industrial design. So it was good looking and good performing. uh, Development and technical innovation of the 645 The 645 pioneered the 6 by 4.5 format, and it's commonly called, as we know, 645. And it created negatives 2.5 times larger than 35 millimeters, and it allowed for 15 exposures, meaning you get 15 photos per roll of 120 film compared to the 12 exposures that you get with 6x6, or the 10 that you might get by 6x7 with 6x7, or 8 exposures, 8 photos that you get with the 6x9. Mamiya's innovation was to combine medium format image quality with handling characteristics closer to 35 millimeter cameras, meaning the goal was to make it as familiar as possible to 35, right? So if you were using a 35 millimeter camera, the idea was to make it as close as possible. I mean, it's a big camera. It's not as big as other medium formats that I've seen. It's on the smaller side, but it's still heavy and it's still substantial. Mamiya own marketing materials. Mamiya 645 cameras provide unsurpassed versatility by combining the medium format 6 by 4.5 image area with the freedom of mobility of a 35 millimeter system. This is basically like a quote from Mamiya's marketing materials. The system design and modularity. The M645 was designed as a true system camera with modular components. What does this mean? It means that it has interchangeable lenses, right? We're all familiar with that. If you shoot with modern digital cameras or oil field cameras, there's point and shoot, yes, but the semi-pro cameras or the ones that are better, that will help you get better results, let's put it that way, because the camera's not going to take the photo, you create the photo, are interchangeable lenses, right? So the best, on the better end of cameras, they have interchangeable lenses. That's what I'm trying to say. There are multiple viewfinder options, meaning for this camera you have waist level finder, you have non-meter pentaprism, and some other metered prism finders. So there's 3 types, and within those 3 types you have different options. There's film inserts that could be preloaded, although they cannot be swapped mid-roll in the original versions, meaning to change the film, if you want to switch from color to black and white, let's say, you would have to expose the whole thing, because you have to take the bracket from inside the body of the camera. It's not like the Hasselblads that you can change the back completely and without the risk of exposing the film. Optional accessories like hand grips and focus screens are also available for this camera. That's another modular component. So in total we have 4: the lenses, the viewfinders, film inserts, and accessories. This approach has allowed, let's say, past tense, photographers, even though a lot of people use them now, but back then they were more popular, right? Allow photographers to customize their setup for specific shooting scenarios, making the system extremely versatile for professional use. The tech specs, if you're interested, for the M645, there's an electronically controlled cloth focal plane shutter with speeds from 8 seconds to 1/500th of a second, meaning only from 8 to 500 were the speeds initially in this camera. There's another one with 1,000th of a second, which is the one I have, but that came out later. There's mirror lookup capability for reducing vibration in critical applications. There is a selectable multi-exposure functionality. There's like a little lever on the side that you can move to take multiple exposures. There's TTL metering through optional meter prisms, meaning that's another accessory, right? So it's not out of the box. Support for both 120 and 220 film formats. I believe that 220 might be dead. Correct me if I'm wrong. Standard 80mm f 2.8 or an 80mm f 1.9 lens were the initial options. And again, right, the M645 1000S, which is the one I have, was introduced in 1976 and added a faster speed of 1,000th of a second for the shutter speed, along with the self-timer and depth of field preview capabilities. What were the technological advancements and evolution of this camera? The generational improvements of the M645 were several. The first generation from 1975 to 1990 included the original M645, the M645 1000S, and M645J. These models had basic functionality and had metal construction. The second generation, from 1995 to 2006, include the M645 Super, the 645 Pro, 645 Pro TL, and 645E models. These feature a polycarbonate body to reduce the weight, interchangeable film backs allowing mid-roll film changes, so maybe this is the one that you might want to get. Improved metering systems, and the 645 Pro TL added integrated TTL flash output control. This third generation, the autofocus generation, from 1999 and onwards, is the 645 AF, and subsequent models introducing autofocus capability, fixed prism finders rather than interchangeable ones, electronically controlled lens apertures, and digital back compatibility. Then we have film back innovation. One of the most significant advancements was in the M645 Super in 1985 was the interchangeable film backs. This innovation allowed photographers to swap between different films mid-shoot without finishing a roll. So you could take like 3 photos of black and white, but you want to take color next, then you just need to swap it. You just swap it right away, right? You don't need to finish the roll or go somewhere dark and swap the roll. You could do it on the fly. This is an essential capability for professional workflows. I'm assuming this helped a lot back then. The system's film magazine design was particularly user-friendly, making loading film straightforward and nearly foolproof. It also had flash integration. The 645 Pro TL model introduced sophisticated TTL flash control. And the way it worked was light from the flash unit is reflected back from the film surface when the shutter is released and is measured by a sensor position inside the camera body. The camera processes this information and adjusts flash output to ensure lighting is optimum at all times. This feature significantly simplified flash photography for medium format users. What were some challenges and limitations of this camera? Well, despite the innovations, the M645 system faced several challenges. One, the one that I brushed on at the beginning, which is the ergonomic issues. The original M645 was notably heavy and it weighed like 3.8 pounds. I haven't weighed mine, but I can do it if you want. With 80mm lens and PD prism finder installed, the camera's boxy shape lacked natural hand grips, meaning it's just like holding a box, making it awkward to hold for extended period of times. I mean, if you're holding it for a long time, I guess, but you always have a strap, right? Without optional grip accessories. So if you're just holding the box without optional grips, if you don't attach a grip, it can feel awkward at the beginning, but honestly, I don't have anything against it. I think it's part of the charm, you could call it. Many users have found the controls not intuitively positioned for handheld shooting. It can get some time to get used to. I agree with that, but I don't know. After a while, you really get used to it. The buttons are right there. There's two shutter buttons, one on the top of the camera, one in the front. For me, it's not a huge issue. If you're a pro, or if you were a pro back then, I can see how, getting used to a camera or switching from something where the ergonomics are different. I can see how that can be an obstacle when shooting. Technical limitations. There were several technical limitations that affected the user experience. The meter activation required pressing a small white button that automatically turned off after 15 seconds. So it required frequent reactivation. Flash sync speed limited to 1/60th of a second, which could be restrictive for outdoor flash photography. The dependence on battery power for most shutter speeds, with only 1/60th of a second available mechanically when batteries fail. The camera has a small battery at the bottom of it. It's not hard to replace, but if it dies, then you only have 1/60th of a second available. Some users reported winding mechanism problems. I haven't had any, but that's some of the reported ones, particularly with the M645 Super model. So if you're looking at the Super, you be careful with that. Competitive pressures. By the 1980s, Mamiya faced increasing competition in the professional camera market while simultaneously struggling with the challenges of the amateur market. When their largest distributor went out of business in 1984, Mamiya was forced into bankruptcy. The company emerged restructured but more focused on their professional medium format lines, with the M645 with being a cornerstone product. What is the legacy and the impact of the M645? The Mamiya M645 established the 645 format as a viable standard in medium format photography. And it basically created the middle ground between larger medium format options and 35 millimeter cameras. The system's longevity has produced various forms from 1975 until the digital transformation we saw. It lasted until 1990 something. Speaks to its successful design and marketing position. Many photographers consider the M645 system to have democratized medium format. And this because it offered a relatively affordable entry point that maintained professional quality standards. It was used for wedding, portrait, and commercial photographers. The M645 offered a very practical way to achieve medium format quality, and it maintained reasonable mobility and efficiency. Even today, with film enjoying basically a renaissance, and I won't say a renaissance anymore. It's been reborn for a few years already. I think it's a constant now. The Mamiya 645 system is still popular and has even appreciated in value. This ongoing relevance underscores the significance of Mamiya's innovation in creating the 645 format and developing a comprehensive system around it. Finally, final thoughts. The Mamiya has represented a moment in medium format, and it introduced a format that balanced quality, practicality, and building a comprehensive system. And it lasted for decades. And despite the ergonomic challenges that have been reported or that some people may not like, and supposedly the technical limitations, I mean, every film camera has its technical limitations nowadays. The camera's innovations, uh, including the modular design, the format efficiency, and advancements that were introduced later with the film handling and flash control, basically established the camera as a professional workhorse. And to me, it secured Mamiya's position in photographic history. There's a few more Mamiya cameras that you could get. I mean, the the people that are into cameras, they know about the brand, so it's not really an unknown. The M645's legacy, it's not just because of technical specifications, but it's basically how it made medium format more for the people. And it was, I obviously I didn't shoot with it back then, because in 1985 I was I was getting born. But for a generation of professionals who needed the quality for larger formats and the workflow efficiency of smaller systems, I think this camera probably was one of the best. In creating this middle path, Mamiya fundamentally influenced how professional photography would develop through the remainder of the film era. This camera, it's nowadays it's regarded as an entry level medium format, with so many more that have come out, that came out after that. But the quality of the photos is really, really good. If you can, and if it's affordable, still, I would recommend getting one of these cameras. I have no regrets. The only thing is, look for, the usual, the mold, or any mechanical failures. How often when was the last time that it got service, and so on, right? So look for those things if you're looking for obviously a used one, because they don't make them new, duh. But yeah, if you can, I would recommend it. uh, just shooting film overall makes you think more. I know this is something that I've spoken about before, so I'm not gonna keep hammering it, but yeah, just go out there and shoot, man. That's the best part of the hobby. So I appreciate your time. This has been Denny Lanes, the 3 Lanes podcast. Thank you so much for your time. See you next time.